I want a raise.
Oh yeah, you and me both. Believe me, you're gonna earn it.
Welcome back to Screen Crush. I'm Ryan Airy. Spoilers for Hawkeye Episode 4 are ahead. Well, the Black Widow post-credits scene is finally paying off, with Florence Pugh returning as Yelena Bolova to assassinate Hawkeye.
Someone is hired. The Black Widow assassin. This has gotten very real, very quickly.
Of course, we all knew this was coming when Val gave Yelena her assignment. Now, we're going to be seeing a lot more of Val, popping up here and there in Phase 4, 5, 6. But right now, I just want to know why she gave Yelena this assignment. Who wants Clint dead? And why is Val collecting these extraordinary individuals? I've got answers and theories, so let's dive in. First, a little background on what we know about Val from the comics. Contessa Valentina Allegra de Fontaine began as a kind of femme fatale for Nick Fury before becoming a SHIELD agent, revealed to be a Hydra agent, then revealed to be a sleeper agent for Leviathan. Basically, you can't trust a word that comes out of her mouth. A lot like Selena Myers.
We don't want our private life to be politicized. Okay, I get that. I respect that. We'll keep it under the gaydar.
So in the MCU, we can't trust a word that Val says. Even if she is working for the government, which we'll go over in a minute, chances are that she's still always going to be lying about something. So let's briefly go over her two scenes in the MCU so far. In the post-credits scene of Black Widow, she interrupts Yelena while she's at Natasha's grave and says something about Ohio.
Sorry. I'm allergic to the Midwest.
And then Yelena replies,
You're not supposed to be bothering me on my holiday time, Valentina.
which tells us a lot about their relationship. Yelena hasn't just worked with Val before, she does so much work for Val that she actually has to say, I'm taking a vacation. She's either full-time or permalance. At the end of Black Widow, Yelena is still on the side of the Angels. She's about to go around the world helping the other women who have just escaped Dreykov's control. So, even though she's gone back to being an assassin, it's likely that she still believes that she's doing good, that Val is not part of some evil organization. For instance, Val doesn't just say, go kill Hawkeye. She has to tell her,
Maybe you'd like a shot at the man responsible for your sister's death.
So she's manipulating Yelena into thinking that Clint is a bad guy. So this tells us that Yelena still believes that she is doing good. And we get the same feeling for how Val recruits John Walker. Now John is a D-bag and a murderer, but his heart was always in the right place. She immediately sympathizes with him.
I would have killed the bastard too. Nobody in there is mad at you about that. These guys in ties, you know, they got a whole thing to protect.
And she also applauds him taking the serum, saying,
It has made you very, very valuable to certain people.
So right here we can throw out a couple theories. One, that Val is working for a bad guy like the Kingpin, some villain who has an interest in assembling his own army of super enhanced individuals. But I don't think that's likely. One, she seems to have access to government facilities. At the end of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, she's waiting in the same room where Walker's hearing was held, implying that she has permission to be there and has the blessing of the government. But she also says,
By the way, don't worry about the shield. It doesn't really belong to the government. It's kind of a legal gray area.
That's definitely something that someone who is familiar with the government would say. And then there's this, when she's talking about Zemo killing super soldiers.
Anyway, it's going to save people a lot of paperwork and a lot of redacting and a lot of shredding.
This really shows that she knows how the government works, so I'm guessing that Val either works for or with the government. Now, I see two possibilities here. One, that she is simply Black Ops. The government is assembling a super team of anti-heroes to be the Secret Avengers in the MCU. Now, there was a comic book called The Secret Avengers about a Black Ops superhero team. Some of its members were Shang-Chi, Moon Knight, Valkyrie, War Machine, Ant-Man, and Taskmaster, all of whom have been introduced or are about to be introduced to the MCU. Other characters like Winter Soldier, Abomination, and Echo would also make great additions to this lineup. And of course, Val has groomed John Walker to be part of this Black Ops team, very similar to how Agent Steve Rogers led the Black Ops Avengers team in the comics. Now, the other possibility is that this is not a government-controlled group. It's an outside agency, contracted by the government so they can have plausible deniability. The people who punished John Walker might have known that he was about to be recruited to work for the government. They said one thing in front of the cameras and another thing out in the hallway. So why would Val want Clint dead? One theory from Jordan71009 on Twitter was pretty good. They said that maybe Eleanor calls in a favor to Val.
It's Eleanor. Could you call me back, please? It's urgent.
and she simply hired the firm to assassinate Clint. That's a good theory. I'm not 100% sure though. We learned in episode 4 that Jacques is laundering money for the tracksuits, so Eleanor is probably connected to them as well. So it's unlikely that Maya and Yelena would end up working at cross purposes on this roof, especially if they were working with the same people. The question we should be asking is, why does the government want Clint dead? Yelena's mission could be unrelated to the tracksuit mafia, and maybe he just knows too much. The episode went a long way toward explaining Clint's murder spree.
That was a weapon. It was aimed by the right people, the right targets.
Now it's nice that we got this reminder that Clint was a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent. Actually, no, he was an assassin for S.H.I.E.L.D. He was sent to kill Natasha. So remember this scene, the flashback where Clint remembers being dressed as Ronin and killing a bunch of guys? What if this is actually a much younger Clint? He could have been sent on S.H.I.E.L.D. assassin missions dressed in this suit. So why would S.H.I.E.L.D. dress up one of their agents as a ninja? Because it gives them plausible deniability. It wasn't S.H.I.E.L.D. who killed those guys, it was Ronin, acting alone. He's a madman! A madman! It is weird that after the blip, Clint goes on a murder spree wearing a nifty looking ninja suit that was custom made. Where did the suit come from? Why not just dress up all in black and go on a murder spree? So maybe he led this life, killing people, and then he met Laura, who, more than likely, was also another S.H.I.E.L.D. agent. We'll talk about that in a second. Laura convinced him to put that life behind him, which is why she knows about the suit.
Was that destroyed like years ago?
Well, I thought so, but I thought the same thing about your fancy outfit.
I'm also going to throw this out there. It's entirely possible that Clint also used to be working for another evil organization, like the Hand. That's an organization of ninjas from the comics that was featured in Daredevil and the Defenders. But not you, Iron Fist. In the comics, Clint did start off as a villain, so giving him villainous roots in the MCU would make sense. But then, maybe Agent Laura Morse, aka Mockingbird, saw good in him and brought him back.
I can turn him back to the good side.
So years later, when he meets Natasha, he does the same for her. Now, if Clint did used to work for the bad guys, then people would want him dead for simple revenge. Or if he spent years as a S.H.I.E.L.D. assassin, then he would know secrets. He's already proven that he can go off the rails. After all, he came out of retirement just to help Captain America break the law. I mean, if Clint used to be the Ronin assassin for the government, then he would know all sorts of Black Ops information that they would want to keep quiet. And this might all go back to the watch. We found out in this episode that the watch is probably tied to Laura, because she asks about it.
Verschwinde nach mehr auf dem Gelände?
You mean the Rolex?
Genau.
And later, Clint tells us that this watch is the key to discovering the identity of a friend who left the game years ago.
It will blow their cover. Goodbye, friend.
So this heavily implies that the watch is Clint's, and it's tied to Laura being a spy, just like Tony guessed.
This is an agent of some kind.
I mean, Laura has to have been in the life. She's just too good at all of this, and way too easygoing with Clint risking his life.
What's the play?
Little catch release.
Laura could be under deep cover and the watch is tied to her. Or I guess it could be someone we don't know about yet. Actually, wait, I got it. A solution so genius that it makes perfect sense. Clint was not the original Ronin, and he did not kill the tracksuit mafia. You know who did? Laura. Laura Barton was the original Ronin when she was a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent. She killed the tracksuit mafia. It's her watch and it connects to her. This is why Maya has her information. I mean, Clint's family is a secret.
Fury helped me set this up when I joined. Kept it off S.H.I.E.L.D.'s files, like to keep it that way.
But this watch contains a hidden connection to Laura and Clint that goes back to her time as Ronin. This flashback is of Laura in the suit, not Clint. And after she was blipped, Clint wore her old suit as a tribute to her memory.
But I thought the same thing about your fancy outfit.
So Yelena's mission could just be to use Clint to get to Laura. But that's just my opinion. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below or at me on Twitter. And if it's your first time here, please subscribe and smash that bell. For Screen Crush, I'm Ryan Airy.